welcome to Nexus Extra. This week we've been looking at the trial of Ghislaine Maxwell, which began on Monday. It's due to last 6 weeks. We've been speaking to various guests about the trial itself and her background, and we're going to get into that aspect now more deeply. It's believed that the Maxwell family had ties to intelligence agencies. Investigative journalist Nina Burleigh talks about what she discovered.
So Robert Maxwell is, as everybody knows, Ghislaine's father, and he died mysteriously, somewhat like Epstein. He was found floating in waters near a yacht, near his own yacht. Suicide or falling off the boat, nobody really knows. He had a very colorful life, born very poor, family murdered by the Nazis, made his way through various military services in Czechoslovakia, then I believe, and then in France, and then for the British military. He rose up. He changed his name 3 or 4 times, and made his fortune in an international scientific publishing company. During the Cold War, a scientific publishing company was a very useful way of allowing scientists to share information across the Iron Curtain, basically the Soviet U.S., essentially the two poles of scientific research. So he was well positioned to do things that involved kind of borderless wealth and information transfers, and he got very involved eventually in moving Soviet Jews to Israel. He was very involved in making that happen, and that business, and according to several books that have been written about him, put him in contact with really the intelligence services of both the Soviet Union and Israel. So he was somebody who could cross borders at will, without too much trouble. And he had 9 children. Ghislaine is his youngest, and she grew up in this world of basically borderless wealth and a father who operated pretty much with impunity, crossing borders and working for different intelligence agencies or working with different intelligence agencies. So, for example, the most famous kind of episode that he was involved in had to do with a technology transfer from the US to the Soviet Union of a kind of early surveillance program called PROMIS, PROMIS, which was a system that police and FBI would be using to track people. And the US put a trapdoor into that piece of technology, and then got the Israeli intelligence agencies to get it over to the KGB. So it was like this triple trick where they thought, the Soviets thought they were getting a hold of this incredible piece of American technology when it was actually engineered to be transparent to the Americans. So the Americans were able to spy on the KGB or on the Russians through this piece of technology. It's an absolutely fascinating story. Robert Maxwell right in the middle of it. So that's a long answer to your question. The family business that Ghislaine Maxwell inherited or inherits apparently from her father is this kind of being an operator in this world, again, of borderless wealth and nation states needing, let's say, business done that they would rather not assign to public officials or that had to be done without public knowledge. And that includes massive weapons transfers. And the one in the UK that's so well known is the famous Saudi weapons deal. of the, I believe, mid 80s, which at the time was the largest weapons transfer to Saudi Arabia in history. And there were people involved in that who were also involved with Epstein and by extension then Maxwell. We interviewed a lot of people, including former intelligence agents of the CIA and the Mossad. And those people told us that they believed that what Epstein was up to, what Epstein and Maxwell were up to with this massive industrial scale grooming of underage girls and the, the dwellings with cameras in every room and the kind of pimping out of these girls to very, very high level influential men looked like a compromise or an influence operation or a way to collect damaging information that then could be used by whoever maybe was paying for it to influence policy. So that's, we got that from ex-CIA and ex-Mossad people. I mean, we can't say, oh, they were working for the CIA, the KGB, or the Mossad. We can't say that. There's no, the nature of the intelligence agency is that, it is covert. But I do think that we know that Epstein was an informant for the FBI, at least in one case, because in the Palm Beach, the records of the Palm Beach case that actually sent him to jail, the few months that he did when he was caught down there after parents started complaining about what was happening to their girls. He got the slap on the wrist, a very light sentence, and, in a jail where he was able to leave every day and go to his office. In those records, you actually see the FBI saying, Mr. Epstein gave us what we wanted. I'm paraphrasing, but he did give them something. And that was part of the deal that got him, the slap on the wrist. So we know that he was involved with the FBI. I mean, he was probably involved with the FBI much earlier when his business partner went to jail for 20 years for a financial pyramid scheme. And he did not go to jail, even though he was quite involved in it. So there's evidence that he was an FBI informant. Was he working for an intelligence agency? Again, we have these former agents saying what they were doing looks like something that intelligence agencies would be interested in. But I can't say that he was working for any of those specifically. There's still, CEOs are still crashing. I mean, just last week, the Barclays Bank CEO had to step down, Jess Staley, because of an internal investigation into his relationship with Epstein. That's still coming out. And, will she drop a bombshell name? I don't think that that's probably going to happen here, because the charges against her are quite specific and they specifically relate to things that she was doing. And I'm not sure that the prosecution will go that far afield to start listing off names of men. Now, we do have the judge in this case refusing to allow redactions in a bunch of documents that they wanted redactions in. So a lot of the documents are going to come out clean without black marks through the names that have been fighting to keep their names out of this public eye. So I don't know. I mean, we already know Clinton was on the plane with Epstein. We know that he flew with other well-known people. I mean, there are people like Larry Summers, who was, we just did a story about the Oslo Accords and the diplomat involved in the Oslo Accords, who turns out, had taken a big loan from Jeffrey Epstein And in those records, you see that former Treasury Secretary, Harvard President Larry Summers, one of the top economists in the United States, had given Epstein his bank account number in order for Epstein to set up a wire to him. And I mean, that's incredible. Like that, these are just, these were just mundane relationships for people like that. And somebody that powerful would give his bank account number to a Jeffrey Epstein is kind of mind blowing. And that's just one little piece of information about him that's sort of telling. Like, we know that those types of men trusted him in a way that probably they now regret very much. Yeah, I mean, for sure, she's the last person who's going to get criminally charged in it, at least as of now. I mean, there are other people who were involved, a lot of other people. Will they be called to account on in criminal charges? I don't think so. I don't think they're in jeopardy. His secretary and other people who set up these arranged meetings with men. So yeah, I think she's probably, everybody says she's a proxy for him. She's a stand-in. And yeah, I mean, she's definitely, the victims certainly do want to see her get, get convicted.
Well, thanks for watching our program. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends and family, and even subscribe.